Okay, take four. Welcome, baseball fans, to this edition of State of MLB. My goodness, it has been quite a week, hasn't it? We've gotten baseball finally back. It's a beautiful thing. The commissioner has laid out that we're going to go ahead with the 60-game schedule, and we're going to start. Players are going to report on July 1st. The season itself will begin respectfully on the 23rd, 24th of July. You're going to have 60 games for the season. That means you're going to have 40 games against your division, and in a 5-team division, that means an even 10 games per your divisional rival. So let's just say you are the New York Mets. Okay, they'll play 10 games against Philadelphia, Atlanta, Washington, and Miami. There's your 40. And then you're going to play 20 games against your geographical rivals. So again, staying with the New York theme, let's say you're the Yankees. You're going to play 6 games against the New York Mets. You're going to play 4 games against the Miami Marlins. You're going to play, I think, 4 games against Atlanta, maybe 3. 3 games against Philadelphia, and 3 games against Washington. One of those is, there's going to be 20 games, so 3-4 is what I saw on the breakdown there. I could have the teams a little bit backward, but that's okay. You get the idea. You're going to have the same thing for all the teams, and it's going to be geographical rivals. So it's going to be the AL East versus the NL East. It's going to be the AL Central, Central, West, West. Now, granted, while this definitely does help with the commute on East Coast teams, because there's so many of them, and they're so relatively close together, Washington, Baltimore, New York. Philadelphia and Boston, not so much, but they're also not that bad. Because you got the Seattle Mariners having to travel to Texas for both the Rangers and the Astros, and you're going to be doing that within divisional play. And then, of course, you've got your cross-divisional rivals between Dodgers and Padres and Rockies, and all those teams have to travel around. That kind of travel is definitely going to be more taxing than the East Coast, but that is what it is. You just don't have as many teams on the West Coast, and they still have to play their divisional rivals and their geographical rivals. Having said that, they're also going to have health protocols where they're going to have COVID tests every other day and a monthly antibodies test. And should a player get the infection, they go into quarantine until they have had 2 consecutive negative COVID tests, which helps with all the false positives that you may get. Also helps protect the players and the fans and everybody else, so that should they get the infection, you know that you're not relying on the data of 1 test. You're going to have 2. A little bit of redundancy there to help alleviate any concerns there. And because the tests are happening so frequently, that also means that, okay, you get the infection on, let's say, on Monday, and then the following Wednesday, you've already lost a week, but now you get a negative test. Okay, great. Friday, you get another test. That gets you back in the game sooner. And should you clear all the protocols, then you are considered healthy and you're able to return and not lose too much service time there. Now, granted, the schedule, the health and safety protocols, all that is still technically pending the MLPA. But considering they're getting their full prorated salaries for the 60 games, there's no reason why they wouldn't approve it. It's just at this point, it's just more or less a formality. However, as we've seen over the past couple of months, it's not done until it's done. So, fingers crossed on that one. But we have been told that in principle, it's been agreed upon. Okay, rosters are going to now. They were talking about busing players here for all the teams, and it looks like they are looking to do that. However, since then, it's been discussed that, yes, there's going to be injuries, there's going to be COVID problems here, anything can happen. They could adjust this as they need to, but for the time being, what it looks like they're going to be doing is they're going to start with a 30-man roster for 2 weeks, that goes down to 28 after 2 weeks, and that for 2 weeks. So after 4 weeks, that goes down to 26 players for the rest of the season, and there's going to be a universal DH. They're concerned about overtaxing the pitchers. They're already playing every 5 days, plus you got all these relief arms playing almost every day. Therefore, instead of making National League pitchers have to bat on top of all that, they're just going to have for this season a universal DH, wipe out the pitcher hitting in the NL. NL fans and purists of the game, I realize that kind of sucks, but at the same time, do you remember why they put the DH in there in the first place? The American League did it because of the dead ball era, where they were having trouble drawing fans because there wasn't a lot of home run production. So they implemented the DH on the AL. It definitely soared the hitting because they changed the strategy of the game. It put a powerful bat in the place where a person who is fundamentally trained and skilled on pitching, not so much hitting, is replaced by somebody who does have concentrated skill sets in hitting. I understand the purist game of, hey, if you have everyone on the mound everyone on the field should have to hit, and then putting into the strategy of things. It also allows pitchers to hit around pitchers and end innings easier. It's a whole strategy thing. We can get into that in a future video. But for this season, this shortened season, it's going to be a universal DH, so there is going to be no pitchers hitting at any point. Save those arms, save the energy, and protect the health and well-being of our pitchers, considering the fact that close to half of our rosters are all pitchers. I mean, pitchers make up a substantial number of the players in the game. With that, I'm looking forward to seeing the game start. I'm looking forward to bringing you power rankings. I'm looking forward to taking all your questions and opinions about how this is going to go on. From my perspective, 60 games is better than nothing. I am greatly disappointed that it took them so long to come to great terms there. I'm greatly disappointed that they couldn't meet in person. I get it, the fact that there was little interest to meet in person from the owner's perspective because they knew they were going to be taking losses on a per-game basis. And I understand that the players were not interested in trying to make additional compromises, because then when they shut down spring training in March, they said, okay, we'll take a prorated salary. Instead of forcing you to pay us for the whole 162 games if we're not playing, just pay us our normal full salary for the games that we do play. I get it. It's a whole lot of contention there, and I'm so sorry we had to suffer through that. But the beautiful thing is, we get baseball back, and it's a wonderful thing. In terms of an outbreak throughout the whole team, not just a single player, then what Major League Baseball is going to do is they reserve the right to physically relocate the team to a neutral and deemed safe site. So let's say, for example, one of the hardest hit cities during the pandemic was New York City. You've got two Major League teams there between the Yankees and the Mets. If there becomes a huge second wave of outbreaks in New York City, MLB reserves the right to ship both the Yankees and the Mets out of New York and have them play somewhere else for the remainder of the season. Considering the fact that they're going to be starting with no fans in the stadium, it's not like the fans are going to be able to attend this in the first place. But it does help protect the players from that potential widespread infection if the New York City happens to break out in that regard. And fans will still get to watch the game on television. Granted, it's not going to be in New York, and it's going to be a little bit weird for players to have to maintain all that social distancing, having to sit in the stands, having to throw away the ball after multiple people have touched it, which I find interesting because name a play in baseball in which multiple people don't touch a ball. Because you have the pitcher, first of all, gripping it with his bare hand. You have the catcher gripping it with his hand. If the ball gets hit, you have other players in the field fielding it, throwing it from the person who receives the ball to the base that has to get it. I mean, right there, every single pitch is almost two people touching it. Granted, I realize that they're talking about balls in play, but every single ball in play is going to be touched by multiple people. That's going to be a ton of baseballs they're going to go through. They already go through thousands of baseballs every single season, but to have to throw away a baseball after every single play, talk about a gold mine for the baseball manufacturers. Oh my goodness. That'll be interesting to see how that plays out. So let me know what your thoughts are about this whole thing here. I don't know enough about the medical science, and I do trust that they have been consulting with medical experts on infectious diseases to hash out the health and safety protocol. So I'm going to defer to the experts on that one and say, okay, if that's what's agreed upon, then go for it, and prayers for healthiness for all the players throughout the season. In terms of the agreements with the rosters and the DH, I'm a personal big fan of the DH. I love the DH. I'm also an American League kind of guy. I grew up in a National League city, but I've always been I've always resented the pitcher hitting. Watching the pitcher literally pitch around the hitter. Granted, there are some people, I believe, Andy Pettitte could hit. I think Madison Bumgarner could hit. There are a few pitchers who can hit, but that's an outlier. The vast majority are like John Lester's, who couldn't hit a fly with a paddle. That's just like, that's not their craft. They are phenomenal pitchers. They're not designed for hitting. They never really mastered that trait. So I like the universal DH personally. My concern about the roster is the fact that you're going to need to, during the course of a normal season, when you don't have to deal with health and safety, you're frequently bringing up players from the minor leagues to help with injuries, to help with doubleheaders, to help with all sorts of things. And without some sort of busting situation, you're going to run out of players really, really quickly. Because absolutely nobody in baseball, none of them, will end the season on the same roster they started opening day with. It just does not happen. So I get the extra few players the first few weeks to see how things pan out makes sense. But when you get back down to your 26-man roster, you better have some way to bring in additional players from the minor leagues to help out for various games. I'm certainly hoping that the MLBPA does formally approve that the season before players report. The other thing I forgot to mention here is that in the other caveat here, in addition to health and safety protocols, is the fact that COVID tests, while they're going to be done every other day during the season, players, before they report to spring training on the 1st, have to go through a COVID test. They have to report with a negative test result so that they know they're starting out baseline with a clean, healthy team. If players test positive before they report, they're not reporting. So that in of itself could shape spring training quite a bit, as there have been outbreaks in various other spring training cities and various players. We'll see how that plays out. But I like the fact that they're making an active approach to keep everybody healthy. I like the fact that they're going to be playing a season at all. And while a shortened season is just going to be really, really weird, because you're only playing each divisional team 10 games and divisional rivals 20 cumulatively, the thing I find most interesting about the divisional games is the fact that the divisions are not equal. Fundamentally, they're just plain not. You have weak divisions, you have strong divisions. You have the central teams, which are predominantly fairly evenly parried. So that's some decent competition going on there. But you have powerhouses in the East and in the West that are going to be feasting on the other teams. Let's take, for example, in the American League East, you've got New York and Boston there. You're talking about the two biggest financial players among the two biggest financial players in the game, because you have the Dodgers and other teams out there. But these two throw hundreds of millions of dollars into players here. And yes, they have been going to a prospect rebuild sort of mode there with their trades and everything else like that. But you still have not only the Boston Red Sox, who in 2018 just tore it up and won the World Series. The New York Yankees that just tore it up in 2019 and lost to the Astros in the ALCS again. Won't go there. But you've got powerhouses here. Plus, you have the Rays, who just made the wild card. They're going to be feasting on Toronto and Baltimore. Yeah, they're only playing 10 games apiece, but the poor Orioles, I mean, they're basically going to be lucky to win games against Tampa and Toronto. They aren't going to get too many against New York or Boston. That's going to leave it uneven ranking there. It's going to give an extra advantage to those powerhouses. In the NL East, switching gears a little bit, You've got the Atlanta Braves as a powerhouse. The Philadelphia Phillies who performed well. You've got the Mets who have reloaded. You've got teams that are going to be feasting. The Nationals are also phenomenal. The Miami Marlins are more or less rebuilding. They're going to be struggling, which means that's 10 games per team that they're padding their record with. In the NL West, for example, the Dodgers are going to be feasting on Colorado, on San Francisco, on all those teams. Now, granted, Arizona has Madison Bumgarner now, so that helps. But you get the idea. You get the idea. I think it's going to be, over the course of a full 162-game season, that the divisional strength kind of levels out because you're playing so many games against all the divisions. You're playing 45 early games. You're playing 6 games against your other league divisions teams. You're playing so many that levels out more or less. In a short season, you're gonna see a lot less parity among some of these divisions. But we'll see how it plays out. I want to know what you think about what I think. Please leave your comments in the section below. And if you just happen to be coming across this video in YouTube, please hit like and subscribe. I greatly appreciate this channel. I love bringing you this content. I love studying the game, watching the game, and enjoying the game with you. As always, thank you for watching.